I'm traveling across America to read 50 books in 50 states, and this week we're headed to Minnesota to read Part of Your World, a romantic comedy with small-town Minnesota charm. While we're there, we're exploring the local landscapes, checking out local bookstores, yapping about books, and finding scenic places to read. Stories come alive when you're standing where they're set, so join me in Minnesota for the next stop in this adventure. Welcome back. I'm actually in my library today because this week we are visiting the wonderful state of Minnesota, which is the best state in my totally biased opinion. We have 10,000 lakes, we have the Honeycrisp apple, and we have popular romance author and Cupcake Wars winner, Abby Jimenez. Now, I have to expose myself and say that I have not actually read any Abby Jimenez, but that is about to change because for our Minnesota adventure, we will be reading Part of Your World. This is a dual point of view romance novel. It's city girl meets small town guy, opposites attract, and Allie Hazelwood blurbed it as a uplifting, feel-good romantic read, which we could all use once in a while. It has 4.26 stars and almost 800,000 reviews on Goodreads, so I think the bar is set pretty high. This book has also come highly recommended by all of my local Minnesota girlies, so I think it's time to see what all the hype is about. Okay, I just did a little 30-minute reading sprint to start Part of Your World, and so far it's super cute. I already like the two main characters. The story starts with Alexis, our female lead, driving her car into a ditch on her way back to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis. And she is in the middle of nowhere, and of course, this cute man drives up and helps her tow her car out of the ditch. They part ways, but she ends up meeting him at the local bar. One thing leads to another, and she goes home with him. Very well executed meet cute. I love how the story is starting. I already like both characters, and I'm kind of sad I only gave myself 30 minutes because I could definitely read this longer. Okay, we're about 180 pages in, and so far it has been a really good combination of this funny kind of rom-com energy and also a good amount of thoughtful emotional depth. She is carrying just so much pressure to live up to the weight of her family's expectations, and you can feel how heavy this weighs on her. She's expected to follow this rigid path that doesn't match who she really is. Despite being raised in this prominent medical family, she is a deeply empathetic person, and I love that we're slowly starting to see her define herself outside of that bubble that she grew up in. Meanwhile, Daniel is the polar opposite. He's so open and genuine and just doing everything he can to keep his family's legacy afloat. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and the way he cares for Alexis just makes it impossible not to root for him, even as you understand her dilemma and all of the obstacles between them. The story is already flying by, and I am very excited to see where this little budding relationship goes. I want to knock out another chunk of this today, so my plan is to go down to the riverfront and visit one of my favorite cafes over there, just for a little change of scenery. We are back and we are caffeinated, and we made quite a bit of progress. This is upside down. I'm almost 300 pages in now, and things are happening. I don't want to give too much away, but this casual little fling has turned into something a little bit deeper. There may have been a single 3-word phrase involved. Alexis and Daniel are just impossible not to root for. As a reader, you can just see the barriers very clearly. Their lives are just so drastically different, but the one thing that they have in common is obligation, and it just seems like neither of them can truly get away from their roots. I'm actually getting a little nervous because there's only like 70 pages left, which feels like a very short time to come to a resolution. I'm trying to pace myself for the sake of this video, but I could probably read this in one sitting. It's very well paced, and every chapter ends with something that just makes you want to keep reading. So as much as I want to finish this right now, I also know that I'm going to have serious withdrawals after finishing this book, which is okay because there are 2 more books in this literary world. And I think the next story is about Alexis's friend Brianna, who I just adore in this story. I am going to set myself up for success and run to the bookstore to pick up a copy of that book and then come back and finish the last few pages of Part of Your World. We've secured the goods, which is good because I finished Part of Your World last night. Thoughts on this soon, but I think I mentioned in the beginning of this video that Abby Jimenez, the author of these books, is actually a Food Network Cupcake Wars champion, and she actually has a cupcake shop in Maple Grove. She actually references her shop, Nadia Cakes, in Part of Your World, which I think is just such a fun real-world connection. I have never been, but I have heard great things, so I thought it would be fun to do a little side quest and go check it out. All right, we have new books, we have cupcakes, and it's now time to talk about Part of Your World. So this has like all the classic rom-com features. There's heartwarming moments, tons of witty banter, and a decent amount of spice. But there's definitely layers to the story, and it has a good amount of depth that really makes you think. Both of the main characters were so easy to fall in love with in different ways. I really connected with Alexis's determination and strong will, but I couldn't help fall for Daniel's golden retriever personality. Honestly, this dynamic reminded me a lot of my own relationship. Reading this in Minnesota just felt extra special. I think she captured the push and pull between the big city and the small town charm really well. The backdrop was very true to Minnesota, just full of hidden picturesque towns with tons of character. I also loved how she weaves in just like a touch of magic. It's not quite magical realism, but there are these small moments that just make you question if they're like too good to be true. Even the fictional town name Wakan was taken from the Dakota word for magic, and I just love this little detail, and it felt like a really good nod to Minnesota's native roots. So overall, I would give Part of Your World 4.5 stars. Super charming and such an easy story to just get lost in. If you're into contemporary romance with the small town warmth, then I would highly recommend this book, but there are some content warnings shared by the author, so I will list those on the screen. So we are now 4 states into our 50 states reading journey, and I feel like we're making some good progress. I have a ton of fun trips coming up, so be sure to stay tuned for more bookish adventures. Thank you so much for joining me in Minnesota, and I will see you in the next one.